Yes. It is a cast-worthy podcast, and we are back. There are two of us today. It is myself, Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the X Machine, joined by the VP. EJ is not here with us. He is roaming around New Jersey on his way to the Jets game to watch the Jets play the Denver Broncos. So we'll see him next week. I'm sure he's tailgating, doused in libations, feeling great. It is Sunday, September 29th. It's officially fall. For those who actually get fall. We don't really get fall down here in Florida. We just get more hurricanes. We just had one pass through. And, if anybody cares, we're fine. Me and VP were on the outskirts of the storm, and there wasn't much going on here in Orlando. So, best wishes to those that did get hit, though. Up in the Panhandle, they got hit pretty hard up by FSU in that area. A couple other places, Tampa, Clearwater, out on the coasts, they got hit pretty hard. And then, of course, it went up into Carolina. And Carolina is not built for that type of storm, so they got hit pretty damn hard. Lots of flooding, extreme flooding. So, again, best wishes to all of those people. Hopefully, they get some woke money from Joe Biden's FEMA, and they'll be in a better place.
Yeah, this time of not even this time of year, but these situations are always interesting to watch because just to kind of turn tragedy into a little bit of partisanship. Whenever like a place like New York has flooding, or like with Hurricane Sandy, California has wildfires and things like that. You see all of the usual suspects, people like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and all these other Republicans who are like, we got to make sure we're balancing the budget and we can't be sending taxpayer money and blah, 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 all this bullshit or whatever. And, then this hurricane hits North Carolina, and parts of Tennessee have gotten a lot of flooding, in Georgia, etc. Right. And now, the Republican governor of Georgia and the two Republican senators from North Carolina and the Republican senators from Tennessee and the Republican governor from Tennessee and all calling up Joe Biden like, yo, we need money. We need, please help, and all of a sudden they want some of that socialism, So it's complete hypocrisy, man. Like, I'm not saying don't help them or whatever. Like, I don't believe in that. We're a country, we help each other. But, the fact that these people are so willing to shit on other parts of the country when they need help and not vote to support them. And then when they need help, they're begging for money or whatever. It's just the hypocrisy is it just knows no bounds,
Yeah. I have to assume that DeSantis is that way too down here in Florida.
Yeah. He's voted when he was in Congress. He voted against aid for other states for wildfires, hurricanes, etc. Because he's all about balancing the country's books or whatever. And then once he becomes governor and we have the first hurricane, here he is lining up, hey, I need money, so they're just full of shit, man. It's performative,
Yeah. And he knows the ins and outs of it, which is why he, week ahead considers it a state of emergency.
State of emergency, yeah.
Yeah. So that, he can be quick on the draw, asking for the dough.
And that's the best thing to do is to, because first the governor has to declare a state of emergency. And then once he does it, the president can declare they have to go in that order where the governor does it first and then the president does it. And then by doing that, it allows them to start pre-staging some things. So that's why, like in Florida, for example, That's one reason they're able to get power restored very quickly. Is that what they'll do is under these emergency declarations, like the states kind of all have pacts with each other. So they probably, okay, this hurricane is coming. This is where it's going to the panhandle. So we're going to bring in some emergency crews and we're going to station them like in, you know, like in Orlando, for example, since we didn't get hit as hard as some people thought we may have, right? Or maybe you want to be a little bit more further south, so you put them in, I don't know, you know, north of West Palm Beach, some, Brevard County, I don't know, you know what I mean? But they're out of the impact area. Storm comes, goes, and then you surge in all of those people that were already on standby, and then they start working to get the power restored in those areas where they're there. Power company workers from Florida, from Georgia, some of them come as far as like in New York, California, etc., and they're
Hmm.
able to just come in and just start working immediately to get power restored.
It's time. I mean, it's just that time of year right now for people that have roofing experience to make some
Yeah.
extra dollars, yo. Because I mean, not just roofing, but any real handyman type shit, you can
Hmm.
pop open an LLC and come to these affected areas and make some dough. I mean, obviously, you know, don't condone price gouging and shit, but people are desperate to get their places back up and running. And
Yeah.
I'm if it was me, I would pay a premium if I'm not waiting 6 months to 12 months to get back into my house. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
especially with the backup with insurances, the more hurricanes that keep coming through here, the more insurance companies are going to pull out of the state, the more expensive it's going to be to get insurance. Like it's crazy. So if you know a craft, if you have a craft, uh you should be on your way down ASAP. Roofers, oh, forget about it. If I knew how to do roofs, if I had, never mind, but if I had five individuals who uh could do shingles and stuff, replacement, oh man, forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. I would get a crew going and just start these contracts. Like, yo, we'll get going tomorrow. As soon as the sun come out, we out there. There's money to be
Yeah.
made. Um but it's rebuild time. We'll continue to hear about that and see that, and election season is coming. So we'll see. We
Yeah.
will see. Well, it's not coming, it's here. September 29th already. Damn. This
Yeah.
this year flew by. It's like the days, they just all start to run together at some point. Once you hit a certain age, everything just runs together. It's get up, work, go to sleep. Get up, work, go to sleep. Uh,
Yeah. I think I've told you before. I saw this thing on Twitter, and it was like the reason why it seems the year flies the older you get is because the older you get, every year is a smaller percentage of your life, and so that's what makes it seem like it goes faster. So, like the point it's making is like, when you're 5 years old, one year is 20% of your whole life, of your whole existence. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So it feels like the year kind of drags. You start first grade, and what feels like 8 months goes by, and now it's like Halloween. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then like another 8 months goes by, and it's Christmas or whatever. Whereas now, in your 40s, it's like your kids start school, and then you blink and it's spring break, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, god damn, year's fine. So
Yeah. 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 I have to assume, you pair that with just the fact that when you get older, you start planning for stuff. You know what I mean? So you're planning for summer, whatever's coming in summer, your summer vacations, you're planning for fall, then you start looking forward to holidays, so been looking forward to Halloween now for a few months, or at least a month. So September blows by and here comes Halloween, and then after Halloween hits, then you'll be looking forward to Thanksgiving, and more so Christmas. So Thanksgiving's going to come super quick, and then Christmas will be right around the corner. Um but this year blew by. Election season is in full effect. We see the people doing their thing, going out and pounding the pavement. We're seeing a lot of endorsements coming out, sports people popping up, musicians, athletes, a lot of people popping up to endorse who they feel is right. And then you got, you know, Trump running around just spewing crazy shit. So it's going to be interesting to see how this final descent into election day goes. Hopefully, there's no more major casualties, no more, you know, uh, bomb threats and shootings and stuff like that. Let's just hope it's y'all do your big ones as you talk to your people, and then people show up, show out, and vote, and then we'll deal with the aftermath because we know there will be aftermath.
Yeah. I mean, like to your point, man, early in-person voting has already started in 4 states in um, Virginia, Minnesota, South Dakota, and I can't think of the fourth one now, but there's 4 states I know that have started early in-person voting. And then, a bunch of states have already sent out, mail ballots. In Florida, we haven't started vote by mail like properly yet, but for people who are overseas and military, their ballots go out. They already started going out like a week or so ago. So far in Florida, there's already been 3,200 votes, guys, so far from people who are overseas and in the military. So it's the election is here. People should have a plan to vote, whether they're going to vote early, vote by mail, vote on election day, and be ready to execute that plan. Even for me, one of the things I did yesterday, this past week, had to update TJ's mail ballot request because it was supposed to come here to the house to go to
Mhm.
him up in college. And then I went and read up on the process of like what to do to cure your ballot just in case they don't accept it for signature matching, so I can figure out what he needs to do from up there just in case he sends his ballot in and they don't accept it because of bad signature or something like that. So it's not like he can just pop in from Illinois or whatever. So
Right.
like I said, have a plan to vote and make sure your voice is heard.
How's he doing up there? Any fun phone calls this week? I would assume now that it's fall. Well, it's probably not as cold as it would or should be, but as we get to daylight savings, once that happens and we fall back, then it'll start to get even cooler up there. So he's probably doing okay for now.
Yeah, he's doing good. He this week he's only called us once, so yeah, I guess he found something to do, and then they got their first match this week, so
Mm.
he's in focus on that or whatever. I'm not sure if he, like I told you, he made the varsity team, but not sure if he's going to start or whatever. But they got their first match this weekend, or they had it last night, so um
What do you say about the other bowlers?
he don't really talk about them too much. One of
Uh,
them, he already knew one of them. There's this one kid who's actually from Florida that he bowled with at Boardwalk. He knows him. The kid
okay.
went to another school and he hit the transfer portal. So he transferred into where TJ is now. And then he has his roommate who's also on the team. So
Did they discontinue bowling scholarships with the whole female sports thing?
no, they still get him.
They still got the bowling scholarships for.
Yeah. The girl, man, if you got a daughter and she bowls, that's where
Well,
it's at.
yeah, there was something where I was talking to somebody and they were saying that the scholarships for bowling for males were discontinued at some point, but I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, as far as I know, they're still they're still getting scholarships. I mean, TJ has a scholarship, so um
That
yeah.
um
But the girls
good.
college bowling is just it's
Oh, I'm
crazy.
sure.
It's so few of them. So you have girls that are getting like full ride scholarships.
Yeah, that's like left-handed pitchers
Yeah.
in baseball. Left-handed pitcher, their scholarships be crazy if they're good. They'd be crazy.
Hmm.
Um, well, hopefully, he does get to bowl this week, and if not, well, hopefully they win, and
Yeah.
he'll get to the point where the coach will trust him. I mean, as a freshman making the varsity team, that's good enough.
Yeah.
If he gets a little burn midway through the season or something like that, that's what's up.
Yeah. So
That's what's up.
yeah.
Um, A lot has happened in sports this week, man. A lot happened this week in sports. The New York Yankees clinched the AL East. Shout out to the New York Yankees. Yankee fans salute. Um, a lot of NFL injuries and stuff like that. We'll get to that. But Caitlin Clark got MVP. I'm sorry, I take it back.
Yeah,
Rewind. Uh, Asia Wilson got MVP, but Caitlin Clark got Rookie of the Year. Um, she started slow, but she came on, you know,
yeah,
after the Olympics. She's been lights out. Like she bounced that team back, brought them to the playoffs. They were a first round bounce, but she had a pretty solid season. Angel Reese got hurt, and I don't know, if Angel Reese doesn't get hurt and she can continue to pad those rebounding stats and double doubles and stuff like that. I don't know if Caitlin wins a Rookie of the Year. Do you think that she should have been the Rookie of the Year? You think Angel Reese still deserved, based on the records that she broke, that she should have been Rookie of the Year?
no, I think it's fine with Caitlin Clark just because with Angel Reese, like there's not enough work there. Like you could assume this is what it would have been had she continued playing, but you don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I think you gotta, you know, yeah, not I don't want to give it to Hayden Clark. She earned it, but I think to consider Angel Reese for the award would have been a slap in the face.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree there. I think Caitlin Clark had again, she had a rough start, rough go at it. Um, Throughout the year you watched, you got to see her get better. You got to see her adjust, game speed, better athletes, better players. And not only that, but you also started to see her mentally adjust. I think that was the
Yeah,
big piece. Like when you come in and you're basically, people are already talking about you similar to like LeBron. But they're talking about you as being the one that's going to skyrocket this sport and being, potentially the best, one of the best, if not the best college basketball player of all time based on accolades and records and stuff like that. Um, it's got to be tough coming in, and then now you're dealing with people that are like, we're not surprised, we're not impressed by that. You still got
yeah.
to come in here and show us what you got to do, and you're getting pushed around, you're getting tested and stuff like that. So I think that contributed to the slow start for her. But I think after she got out of her own head, and again, Olympics came, she didn't make the team, rightfully so. I don't think she belonged there. And I don't think Angel Reese belonged there. I think they'll be there next time, and I think they'll play really well, probably dominate. Um, After Olympics though, she came out and she's been lights out,
Yeah.
breaking records, taking names. Like that's what she's been
I
doing.
don't
So,
I don't think that she should have made the team either, just based off what she had done to that point. But from a marketing standpoint, from a standpoint of growth, trying to grow the league, I think they probably should have made an exception just to try to like they have to they had a they the WNBA is in the middle of a moment, and
mhm.
does this we talk all the time on the podcast about like how America's fickle, you know what I mean, and so is this moment just this season, or does this moment last? And if this moment is lasting, you have to do things to kind. It's almost like like I love watching Survivor. I know you don't watch it too much, but any of those like outdoorsy kind of shows where you got to nurture a fire, you got to keep putting in the kindling and stuff like that to keep that fire going. And I think that would have been like a piece of kindling for the WNBA to keep that popularity and things like that up to help grow the league or whatever, because they're going to have to grow the same way that the NBA grows, where you are expanding overseas. And I think putting her on that team would have done a lot to help grow the league in the international community.
No, I agree. I agree with that. But I think we're gonna be in an amazing place in 4 years. It's gonna be here in the United States, right? And you're trying. I mean, I get trying to build it overseas, but the WNBA. like you said, is starting to emerge as an actual sport that people are interested in, or people are actually backing. Like, again, we talked about this. You never heard it on Sports Center. You heard, real quick highlights, maybe a top 10 moment of a great layup, or
Mhm.
something like that. But now you're seeing stars. Like, I'm watching these playoff games, and I saw it at the New York, what are they, Liberty,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
whatever.
Liberty.
At their playoff game, you had Whoopi Goldberg there, and you had, they had Star Isle, similar to the Knicks, and you saw a lot of big names there. And so the WNBA is moving in the right direction. Caitlin Clark is going to be what gets it done. She averaged 19 points, 8 assists, 5 boards, shot 34% from three, 90% free throw shooting on the year. She was number 4 in MVP vote, so I don't see why she wouldn't be rookie of the year.
Yeah,
Looking at that,
yeah.
she did her damn thing. Shout out to her, and she had a salary of $76,000. Look
Good
at
thing she
that.
got the NIL.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, and endorsements. I'm sure she's got tons of endorsements in Indiana, and everywhere else, all them other places. So,
Yeah.
um, what else happened this week? Let's see. Caitlin Clark won MVP. Yankees secured the number 1 spot in AL East. Um, Football. Fine. Let's talk about it. Dallas Cowboys won Thursday night against the Giants. But before we get to that, let's look at last week. Talk about what you saw and what I saw last week. It was an interesting week. When I go back to our picks, um, last week I went 6-10. EJ went 7-9, and you went 6-10. It was a weird week overall. There was a lot of stuff that just didn't seem to go the way it was supposed to. The Giants beat Cleveland. One of the things that we didn't have happening. Philly beat New Orleans in New Orleans. That was a toss up, but it felt like New Orleans would take that. Denver beat Tampa Bay. That messed up a lot of people's parlays.
Yeah.
Lost, Carolina came out with the Red Rocket, beat up on Las Vegas, but um, there was a lot of interesting games last week. Anything that stuck out specifically to you? I'll start first. You can think through. Um, what stuck out biggest to me was the Washington Cincinnati game.
Mm,
Um, Jaden Daniels and those guys on a big major Monday night stage playing against Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase, he had T. Higgins, he had his full complement of receivers, along with Zach Moss. Great defense. They came out. Cincinnati scores first, and it wasn't like a defensive game. So Washington had to keep up offensively. It was 34, 31 or something crazy like that. And Washington wins that game. That stuck out probably the most to me last week as a team that you had expectations to lose. Their defense looked trashy. You expect Joe Burrow to be able to get it done against, you know, Washington, who everybody is
mhm.
saying is not a top team. And they just, even though they scored points, they just couldn't get it done. Do you
Yeah.
think Cincinnati at 0-3, everyone is always throwing them bail saying they're going to have slow starts. But at 0-3, do you think they're done for the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's I saw a statistic this week. I can't remember what it was, but it was talking about the number of teams that have made the playoffs after starting 0-3, and the list is small. It's small, just like when you hear about teams come back from being down 0-3 in series or whatever, So, to start the season 0-3, man, it's gonna be tough. And it's not like if they played in the NFC, I could see them still, having a realistic shot. But they play in the AFC, which is a lot harder than in previous years, and they play in a tough division on top of that, where you got Baltimore already somewhat doing its thing. Nobody, I mean, I don't even know why I'm getting ready to say nobody saw the Steelers coming, but I mean, Mike Tomlin, all
Right.
he does is win, so I don't know why
Every year.
nobody see it coming. So that they're already like the third team in a tough division, and who knows what we have out of Cleveland, so it's possible that they could be the fourth team in that division. And then you have everything that's happening in the rest of the AFC, where the Jets are doing their thing, the Bills are doing their things, KC is already, you know what I mean? So it's going to be tough for them. So I don't think they come back from this. And again, I said it last week, there's something wrong with Burrow with his throwing hand, or with something with that wrist that they're not telling us or whatever. But and then we're also seeing the impacts of you're seeing it in San Fran with IU, you're seeing it with them with Chase, of missing camp
Hmm.
with CP in Dallas, the impacts of missing camp and not having, not that they don't have chemistry, because they've already worked together, Burrow and Chase, but just not getting work in.
Yeah. I mean, you got to assume that there's changes in the playbook, there's changes in audibles, there's changes in all types of stuff, right? So you're missing that camp, similar to what they said about CD Lamb. So I think that's tough for them. Looking at their schedule, Cincinnati, that is, they got Carolina this week. Now, if they lose to Carolina at 0-4, and this is going to be a revenge game for Andy Dalton, you know,
Yeah.
um, if they lose to Carolina, then I think they're really in trouble. But I really feel like they win today. If they can win next week against Baltimore, then they get the Giants, which is a winnable game. Cleveland is a winnable game, and then they're right back in it. I think at 4-3. Then they get Philly, the Raiders, Baltimore again, Chargers, who are trash. It's like they got good, bad as far as what their schedule looks like, at
Mhm.
least on paper for these teams, right? You're getting a good team, a bad team, a good team, a bad team, but they've lost. So they had Patriots, Chiefs was a good team, Commanders, they were supposed to win, lost that game. Now they get another trashy team in the Panthers. Um, and this is in Carolina. I'm not sure. Did that game get moved at all, or did they? I wonder if the stadium got impacted at all there. Um, then they get Baltimore again, Giants, and so on. So I think there's still a chance for them because it's super early.
Mhm.
Um, but history has told us no team that's ever started 0-3 has ever won a Super Bowl. So
Right.
um, again, it's going to take a lot. And like you said, the Steelers are 3-0, but they're over. I think anybody that knows, I mean, again, it's Tomlin, we get it, but we think that team is overachieving based on the talent that they have. Um, Cleveland is all over the place. Baltimore's underachieving, I think. They're 1-2. So I think that's just a little bit of the saving grace for Cincinnati is that Baltimore started slow as well. So when you talk about that division, it's very possible that they can sneak through. But to your point, in the AFC, I mean, you got to win 12 games at
Yeah.
least, and I think that's just a wild card in the AFC this year.
Yeah. And for me, the things that stood out to me, the Rams 49ers, like, I mean, I know it was a, comeback at the end, all that kind of stuff like that, but for the Rams to be as injured as they are and still
Hmm.
beat the 49ers, like, the 49ers got bigger problems. I think, you know, maybe a lot of folks, myself included, thought like, oh, this team has just been so good, and Purdy's got things figured out and all this kind of stuff like that. And this year, I mean, I know they've had some injuries, but that team is stacked to the point to where, CMC being out shouldn't derail everything. Debo being out shouldn't derail everything, because you have all these other guys that you can get the ball to. But apparently, when one of the Avengers is gone, Brock Purdy just disappears. So them losing that game was surprising to me. And then the other one was the Panthers beating the Raiders, man. Like, I had high hopes for the Raiders. I mean, I know, new coach, the quarterback, all that stuff like that, but they got a pretty coming into the season, I thought their defense was going to be pretty solid, and the
Hmm.
defense would help, win some games for them, and to give the offense kind of time, to to jail and stuff like that, and they just they haven't been good. So
Yeah,
and the
Vegas
losing of
coming off
Tampa.
a yeah, they came off a win against Baltimore to then lose to Carolina, and Andy Dalton, which is crazy,
Yeah,
um, to me. But I agree with you with the San Fran and Rams thing. San Fran had a bunch of injuries as well, but the Rams they're down their number one wide receiver, their number two wide receiver. They got defensive guys out. I mean, that kind of shows you a little bit what um experience does for Matt
yeah,
Stafford to be able to go out there. And I be telling EJ all the time when he be trying to underplay Stafford and say, "Oh, this guy's overrated." I, I mean, he had some bad years in Detroit. He had some horrible teams. So but you put a decent team around him and he's making these he showed that these guys are able to beat a division rival who was a clear favorite to win this game. And sure, they were without Debo and sure they were without McCaffrey, but they had a guy that they just signed in Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk was nowhere to be found. And I told you guys when all this contract stuff was going on and we talked about it, he was not worth that money because he is super dependent on these guys. And when they're not around, neither is he. Jawan Jennings scored 3 touchdowns last week. That's the
hmm
guy that you should have been worried about. You should have been like, we're fine with Brandon Ayuk walking. Let's make whatever move Pittsburgh wants to make. Get this guy up out of here. Save this money and pay somebody else next year. Because it just, to me, it's an experiment that's not working. And a video came out this week where him and Shanahan got into it in practice. So you can't not perform and get into it with your head coach in practice and after just coming off of a contract. It's just a bad look. It's just a
yeah,
bad look.
yeah. I mean,
But
you were
again,
saying I was
Brock Purdy's
on the
trashed
train
too.
to paying him. Yeah, yeah. I was on the train to paying him. So but yeah, I've been surprised at how bad it's been for him, especially because he's on my fantasy team. So yeah, I've been dealing with it first. But but yeah, man. I mean, Stafford. I'm one of the people. I'm in that camp with EJ who I thought Stafford was overrated coming out of college. And experience matters, man. I mean, I witnessed that firsthand with the Dolphins when we traded away everything in the tank for Tua season,
Mm-hmm.
and they had Fitzpatrick out there with a bunch of nobodies, and he was out there winning games. So that experience matters. The dude knows how to read the pressure. He knows how to adjust the protection. He knows when
Right.
to get it to the check down, throw it away,
Clock
um
management,
yeah.
stuff like that.
So that
Yep.
stuff, man, you're not gonna get that in some of your rookie quarterbacks or quarterbacks with only a couple years experience, etc.
And San Fran has a losable game this week. I mean, they're at home, but they got a losable game against the Patriots, who are a team who are in dogfights. I mean, they won their first week
Yeah.
that they against Cincinnati, which they shouldn't have won, but the last 2 weeks they've been in dogfights and they've been keeping it close. You know, even though they have Jacoby Brissett as their starter now, Ramondre Stevenson did absolutely nothing last week, and had he done something, there's a possibility that they could have pulled the game out. They pulled the game out
Yeah.
last week. So um San Fran, if they don't come out and they're not ready to go, they could get punched in the face at home by the Patriots and
hmm
see themselves at 1-3. And now you're really fighting an uphill battle because you got some teams in the NFC that are doing what they need to do. You got the Saints that are showing up. Falcons finally decided they're going to play a little bit of football. The Vikings are playing better than they should. The Packers. NFC is another team where I think you're going to have to win at least 12 to get in um at wild card. Eagles, Buccaneers, both of them are 2-1. Commanders are two
hmm
and one. Cowboys are 2-2. I don't know, dropping to 1-3 if I'm the 49ers and not having McCaffrey for another 2 to 3 weeks, maybe longer. That could be rough for them. That could
Yeah.
be rough for them.
Yeah. They excuse me. What was I about to say? The other thing too, man, this week that's just I mean, it's been happening every week, but I mean, it's getting to a point of like ridiculousness now with this stuff with the Chiefs and the refs. Like it is
Bruh.
insane the favorable treatment that they're given by the refs. It's disgusting.
it's almost like you don't want to, like, at least for me, I don't, excuse me, I don't want to pick against those guys.
Yeah.
I don't, like, you can't pick against them. No matter, I mean, this week, excuse me, this week they have the Chargers, and here's the thing: if there's gonna be an upset that nobody was thinking about, it'll be the Chargers
Hmm.
against Kansas City, because they always play them well. It's a divisional game. Now they have a new coach. They have a new, a coach that just came back from college, um, in with the Chargers, and Herbert is not 100%. May not even play. So
He's playing.
and they, oh, is he playing? All right. So
Yeah.
there's a possibility that they can sneak something out. I think the Chiefs win anyway, but I do agree with you, man. I don't understand how the NFL hasn't had, you know, hasn't done anything or said anything at least about it. Like, it's bad. It's bad. And these are not, the thing about it is, when you're a fan, right? When I'm a Cowboys fan. When I watch the Cowboys games, if it's happening in the second quarter, it's happening in the first quarter, you miss some. The same thing with you with the Dolphins, E with the Eagles, and so on, EJ with the Jets. That's one thing. Sure, that makes a difference, but it doesn't make the difference that you're seeing with these Chiefs calls. These Chiefs calls are final drives. These are calls that are keeping the game going, keeping their drives going on a time when they should be losing, potentially losing the game, or missed calls, blatantly missed calls for the opposite team.
Yeah.
Atlanta, I mean, you could show three different replays on the final drive where they were trying to win the game, where the refs missed blatant calls, man. And they got to do something about that, man. They have to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane, man. It is insane. Yeah. And
And
the league won't do it. That's the thing that sucks is that, like, again, if you see these egregious calls kind of going both ways, it's like, damn, the refs suck today, but at least it's happening. But I say this all the time when I watch NBA games, because with the pace of an NBA game, you can kind of see the impact of the refs like more immediately. Whereas in football, one team can have the ball for 6 minutes, and then maybe something that they got a favorable call, on the 30-yard line, and then it happens to your team 20 minutes later, and you forgot about it, kind of thing. But
yeah,
in the NBA, when I'm watching a Heat game and I see a bad call, I'm like, that was a terrible call. But as long as they call it both ways, I'm fine with it. But in the NFL, that's just not happening. And it seems like if you're not a high profile quarterback, you're not getting that call for the late hit roughing the passer. If you're not a high profile team, you're getting away with more holding and more of these other BS calls or whatever. It's ridiculous, man.
the crazy part though is when you think about it, right? How many true high profile quarterbacks are left? You got Josh Allen, like true high profile. Josh Allen and Mahomes are really the two that are getting the calls. I mean,
Yeah.
Lamar, you would think you can call high profile. He's not getting those calls.
Hmm.
Dak, you could call him high profile, highest paid player, had a great season last year, not getting the calls. Even Tua, for that matter, had a great season and amazingly accurate season last year, not getting those calls. Jared Goff's not getting those calls. Great. I don't think he's high profile, but I mean, you get my point. Like, these
Yeah.
are, there's a lot. Jalen Hurts, for that matter, and I'm he's not getting the late hit calls. Now the Eagles are getting away with a lot of other crazy, crazy stuff, but he's not getting those calls either when he's getting hit late. And they've got valid concern to be frustrated with the way, Devontae Smith got hit this last week, and
Right.
even AJ Brown got hurt last week or last year that way. Like, so the Eagles have some valid concerns there, but you can't even look at the Chiefs the wrong way, man. It is crazy. It is
Hmm.
absolutely bizarre.
Yeah.
And
We.
and here's the thing too, right? Because you've created this culture in the NFL, right? For like the Bills, for Josh Allen. I've been watching Bills have been on primetime twice this year already. And when you watch them, Josh Allen runs towards the sideline and then keeps going because the defenders let up because they
Yeah.
know that he's about to get the call.
Yep.
And the same thing is happening with Mahomes. They're running towards the sideline like they're gonna either throw it away or run out of bounds, and then they're sneaking out another 3-4 yards. And if I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm telling them hit him, and if we get the flag, we get the flag. But you have to stop it some way because it's just gonna continue to happen, and it's crazy.
Yep. We had that happen to us last year playing against the Bills, where one of our players, he got there for the sack, wrapped him up, and then when he started to spin him down, he kind of like let him go like midway through the spin, so that way he
Hmm.
doesn't slam him and then get like a unnecessary roughness or some BS like that. And because Josh Allen is so big, he spun out of that shit and then ended up getting the ball downfield to Diggs. So they they gotta do something, but they're not gonna do anything. I mean, they've already made it like the emphasis is protecting the quarterback, which they told us already, but it seems like it's only protecting certain quarterbacks.
It's the cash cows. It's the cash
Hmm.
cows. The sad part about it is, and not the sad part, but the thing about it is, you can't even be mad at. I can't be mad at Mahomes. I can't be mad at Josh Allen because they're just doing what the league is allowing them to do. It's the league that has to put a stop to this. It's the league that has to address it, and from an officiating standpoint, right? Like
Right.
there's, and you got to look into this because there's so, I'm gonna keep saying it. I'll say it all the time, even though I'm a big sports better. Sports betting, legal sports betting, hitting almost every state now is making it worse. Because if I'm a ref, I mean these guys are not getting paid top salary. I mean they're getting paid more than the average Joe. But if you can make a couple extra dollars and you have impact on it,
Right.
why not? Why not?
Yeah.
You know,
I've been saying for a
I
couple
mean,
of years, I think they need to make the refs permanent
hmm
and stop letting referee like the
pay them
ref
year round.
yeah, the fact that I mean, you don't got to be year round. Like you pay them during the season, but like pay them a salary that they can live. I mean, they can live comfortably off the salary. I think refs, it's my understanding, they make like $160,000 a year.
Hmm.
So it's not like, I mean, you can't live off 160 grand in one year, like,
What are you doing?
but
Yeah.
you know, um, but I think you make them permanent, and then that way, being a referee is not a side gig. So in the off season, I mean, I guess they still be getting paid year round because in the off season they'd be doing training and watching film and stuff like that. But I think you make it permanent though, and
But they
I
could
don't
do the
know.
salary like teachers too, to where either you take all of your salary during the season or you take less each paycheck and get paid year round. So
Right.
when my dad was a teacher, he had the choice to either get paid through the summer or just get paid through the school year, and then in the
Yeah.
summertime not get paid. So they could do the same thing with refs. And in the off season, you got to have these meetings, you got to have these focus groups with the league, with the owners, with whomever, to say, hey, what are we seeing? Maybe it's X refs, maybe it's even commentators, because as much as the commentators get on your nerves, and you got the ones like Collinsworth and stuff that they're there to massage egos, but you got the ones that are actually out there speaking facts. You got guys that are making these calls, or watching these games live and saying that was not a flag, or hey, you missed this, right? And maybe what they need to do is when they hear those, they need to save that replay, whatever replay they show, because they're showing it to America, right?
Right.
This is not just a replay that only the commentators, America can see this, right? So you take those replays that are showing, and then in the off season you review them and say, hey, this was missed, that was missed. You got to be on the lookout for this. Maybe you got to put more eyes out there. I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but you can't keep this up. Like it's really starting to ruin the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So with that, let's look at this week's games. We won't have any picks from EJ. But we'll get our picks in. On the season right now, I'm 26-20, and you guys are both 25-21. So it's still fairly close. We've been pretty close and pretty consistent. The first game on the list is a divisional game. You got the Saints coming off a loss to Philly, going into Atlanta, coming off of a loss to Kansas
Chiefs
City. And this game is in
in Atlanta.
Atlanta. I don't know if Chris Olave is playing or Alvin Kamara. They were both questionable all week for the
Olave
Saints.
is not. I haven't seen Atlanta. I mean, I'm sorry. Olave is not. I haven't seen Kamara.
Kamara, okay. So no Olave. Kamara was questionable as well. I think that also makes a major difference. Um, and on the Falcons side of things, they look like they're pretty healthy. It looks like Kirk Cousins is starting to get more comfortable in the pocket. Their playbook is coming together. So this is going to be an interesting game. Is divisional. What do you think?
I agree with everything you said, but even if Kamara and Olave were playing, I still would go with Atlanta here. I like the way Atlanta looks. They played the Chiefs well, and played the refs well too. But they ended up losing that game. But I like the way they look on the season, and I would have gone with them regardless. So I'm going Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm with Atlanta as well. If it were a road, I'm sorry, if it was a game in New Orleans, I probably would go consider the Saints, especially if Olave was playing. But I'm with you. I'm on the Atlanta train for that game. Cincinnati's going into Carolina. Carolina is going to have Andy Dalton starting again. T. Higgins is playing today. Jamar Chase is playing today. Carolina is without Adam Thielen, though. Adam Thielen went on IR this week. So they're going to have Deontay Johnson as their number one, Leggett, the rookie, as their number two. And then where does it go from there? I don't know. Chuba Hubbard, a running back. It's gonna be a battle for Carolina.
Yeah,
It's in Carolina, but I'm rolling with Cincinnati in this game.
I want to roll with
We
Cincinnati as
want to,
well,
right?
but
But
yeah, I'm just. Uh, I'm gonna go Carolina here. I just got like a gut feeling. The Bengals should win, but I just got a gut feeling they might get upset.
it could be a contrarian play for sure. Um, Rams going into Chicago. Caleb Williams willed the win last week. I want to
Hmm.
say.
Had a
Um,
good game last week.
against Houston. No, they lost to Houston last week, didn't they? Yeah, or was that week one?
No,
No,
that
that was
was
last
week.
week.
I think that was it last week?
Yeah, it was last week. Chicago lost to Houston last week.
No, Chicago
Um.
lost to the Colts last week. They lost to Houston the week before.
Oh, okay. All right.
But Caleb
Um.
played well. He threw for 300, a couple touchdowns. So
Yeah, he's starting to look a little bit better. I still think Jaden Daniels is the better player today. Not sure what the ceilings look like.
mhm.
Um. But the Rams are going into Chicago again. They're without their top two wide receivers. What do you think on that game?
Hmm. I, I I like the Rams. I mean, Super Bowl winning quarterback coach. They I think they find a way.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me, man. I'm gonna roll with Chicago because I think they're gonna try to do something to get the run game going, and I think that's where they've been struggling this year is the run game. So I think watch for DeAndre Swift to kind of take a little bit of a snap count decrease, and I think we see some Roshan Johnson some more because he played pretty well last week. Um, so I'm gonna go with Chicago because they're the home team. I don't know if Stafford has it in him again, but I could absolutely see the Rams winning it as well.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Green Bay. They're saying Jordan Love is back pretty quick, in
So
my opinion,
I've been seeing Jordan Love is active,
or
and
active. That's right.
yeah,
That's
so
right.
I don't know if he's starting. He's available. That's what active means to me. But
I was looking at an article before we started. Let me see if I can find it again. But what are you thinking on that game?
on that one, man, I like Minnesota's defense this year. Flores got that defense humming, and based on the way that defense is playing, I was about to say something and I just thought about it. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if we see Flores being a serious candidate for a head coaching job. But then I remember he still got this active lawsuit, and I think that lawsuit is getting ready to go to court soon. So I don't think he
Mhm.
becomes a head coach while he's in the middle of suing the league. So, but yeah, he has that defense humming, man, and whether it's Jordan Love or Malik Willis, I think um, the Vikings get it done. And Sam Darnold, man, yo, he's playing well.
Yeah. Joe Mixon is out. Chris Olave is active for week 4.
Oh, I thought I saw. Okay, I thought I saw something saying
Yeah.
he was out.
Yeah, he is active, but I don't see who's starting. I don't know where that went. That's fine. Yeah, Minnesota looks really good. Minnesota looks really good. That defense looks great. Sam Darnold is finding ways to get the ball to Justin Jefferson as he should. And then Aaron Jones. This is an Aaron Jones revenge game. Minnesota for Green Bay. And I'm with you. I'm going Minnesota in this game. Even if Jordan Love starts, I think Minnesota wins this game.
Same.
Minnesota's looking like that year where Kirk Cousins took them to the playoffs undefeated, and we were like, "Oh, this guy's they're gonna do something." And then you know we're like, "Oh, they don't look like a 12-14," and then they showed us at 12-14.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. We're seeing also how how the hype train can impact quarterbacks because Trevor Lawrence. Um, I am not sure what's up with that guy. But Houston goes into Jacksonville. It's divisional this week. Trevor Lawrence has looked terrible. It's not like Jacksonville is losing and they're in the games, or he's having good games and they're losing. He just looks really, really bad. Bad decision making, bad throws, horrible accuracy. It's almost like he didn't practice in the offseason. Like he just took
Yeah.
the offseason off.
I mean, it's just one like Trevor Lawrence to me has never looked like the guy, like from the time he was a rookie. And I get it, he was the man in college and all that stuff like that. But since he's been in the league, he's just looked average to me. But there's like this Trevor Lawrence like hype train built into the media that never, you know, craps on him or whatever. And so he doesn't get any of the heat for being just okay, and so yeah, he doesn't look that good to me. And early in his career, the first year, you could say, oh well, they didn't really have anything around him. Urban Meyer, all that crap. They put a better coach around him, Super Bowl winning coach. They upgraded the running game, upgraded the receiver position, they upgraded deep. Everything is better, and he still just looks just okay. Shows you flashes, but it's
Yeah.
never just like rock solid.
And it's never full game flashes. Like
Right.
with him, you get a quarter, you get 2 drives, you get a drive where you're like, oh, that's the Trevor Lawrence people were excited about at Clemson,
Hmm.
and coming out of Clemson. And now he looks horrible, man. I got Houston in this game. Houston is without Joe Mixon again. Um, and Tank Dell is out. But you got Nico Collins still. You got Tay Diggs, Stephon Diggs over there. Um, I don't see a path where Houston's defense has been a little off, but I don't see a path where Trevor Lawrence gets it done today, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I agree. I'm going Houston there as well.
All right. Pittsburgh Indy. This to me is a trap game. I think everybody has the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Indy, beating these guys badly, or not badly, but beating them. They're 3-0. Their defense is rock solid. Steelers, as always, right? They've been that way since Steel Curtain, right? These guys have always found a way to make their defense play the way they play.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, but Indy has a good defense. Indy has a good offensive roster, and Taylor. They've got Richardson at quarterback. They got Michael Pittman. Like, there's no reason why Indy shouldn't be able to win games. I think it's just a matter of turning it around, and I don't know if it's coaching or what. I think this is a trap game for the Steelers. Everyone thinks Steelers goes 4-0 this game. I'm going with Indy though. In this game.
I'm going with the Steelers here. I agree to this. I agree with you that it's a trap game. I think Tomlin will have those guys ready, and I think also something that can't really be measured. There's no stat for it. I think the fact that you have a team that most people probably thought to be trash, coming into the season is playing very well. That could give
Mhm.
them guys like a little bit extra oomph to come out here and be ready to play this game and go get it.
TJ Watt is playing, right? I'm pretty sure
Uh,
he just had a child. He's with child, I believe.
Hopefully he's not. Might be a larger
Well,
concern.
I mean aliens, right? But either way, I saw an interview with him and JJ Watt last week where they said the baby was close to coming in. So, but I haven't seen any reports of him being out. But I think that's the anchor to that defense, man.
Oh yeah.
He keeps that Steelers defense honest. And but Anthony Richardson is fast, and this guy just has to make he just has to work on his decision making, man. I know he likes to run, and I know there's times where he's supposed to run where he doesn't run, and during this against this defense, you can't have that 1 second mishap or they're gonna be on your ass. So
Yeah.
um, we'll see, but I'm with him. They got to use Jonathan Taylor the way they need to and get you know.
Hmm.
Right. Um, Broncos and Jets. Aaron Rodgers looked good last week. Who did they play last week? The Jets played New England, so they were supposed to win that game.
Yeah.
They beat up on New England. They beat up on Little Brother. Brees Hall looked good. Aaron Rodgers looked good. He made some great plays. This is going to be his second game at home. Alan Lazard was the surprising thing for me, though. Like, I thought Garrett Wilson would be the one to catch the touchdowns, and Lazard caught two last week.
Yeah.
Uh, so I wonder if that's just a chemistry thing. He's got a trust thing. Maybe it's just the routes they're running. Maybe it's the coverage. I don't know. But anyway, we got the Broncos going into New Jersey to play against the Jets today. I'm still not sold on Bo Nix, even though they won last week.
Yeah. I'm not convinced on Bo Nix either. And one thing that I don't know if you saw that clip going around of Bo Nix trying to call the play, and like the receivers and the linemen are looking at him like, what?
Yeah.
And they were saying like Sean Payton has these like extremely complicated and long play calls where he's the quarterback trying to relay that crap, and he's struggling. And they were saying like, oh, Russell Wilson, he doesn't think he's that smart, he doesn't get the playbook. And it's like maybe nobody got the playbook except Drew Brees because you spent all those years with him or whatever.
Mhm.
Whereas these guys who are new to you are like, dude, what, like, like this is not a English paper. It's a play. Like it don't need to be this many words or whatever. But
Right.
but yeah,
And
I don't believe in Denver.
and maybe you don't have to dumb it down for a Russell Wilson, but you do have to dumb it down for a Bo Nix. This is
Right.
a guy who's a rookie. I mean, it took him. He's old. I want to say he's 24, 26. Isn't he old? He's old coming
Approach.
out of college. So it took him a while to start to play well in college. So you gotta dumb it down for this guy. He just doesn't
Yeah,
look good at all.
he's 24.
24. Okay.
He looks older than that.
Yeah, he does. I got the Jets in this game.
Yeah, I had the Jets as well, unfortunately.
Um Philly and Tampa. This is interesting. This one's in Tampa. Philly's gonna be without um Devontae Smith. They're gonna be without AJ Brown. Um and Tampa is getting healthy. They're saying Mike Evans is not on the injury report like he was last week. Um Baker's looked really good this year. I think Tampa Bay should win this game, but I think if Saquon can will a win for the Eagles along with their defense against the Buccaneers, then we can start to say the Eagles are the real deal. Because this is a game they should lose as shorthanded as they are, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
when I say the real deal, that might be doing a little bit much, but I would say that they're a contender and that Saquon is a major difference maker if they win this game.
yeah, he is. He's looked good, man. I mean, I know he's injury prone, so you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, but while he's
Mm.
been healthy, he's looked really, really good. The Giants look like idiots for letting him go, and especially since like I don't know if you watched any of that Hard Knocks that they did the Giants one they did earlier in the year for the free agency
Priest.
period,
Yeah.
but when you see them like wrestling with the decisions and do we beef up the line and give Daniel Jones a chance, go out and get him a weapon, in the draft or whatever, or do we pay Saquon? And it's kind of like you're 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 watching that, and it almost seems like the people making the decision is like they came from outer space and then got dropped on Earth, and they say you're now in charge of the New York Football Giants,
Hmm.
and they didn't know anything else that had happened before they got there or whatever.
Right.
It was like, oh yeah, we got to beef up the line, we got to get him a weapon, and we'll let this running back go. It's like they didn't know anything about this guy, and it's like, this dude has been trashed his whole career. Like I don't get it, man. I really don't. I mean, I get it. I understand, like, prioritizing the quarterback over other players. That makes sense. But yeah, prioritizing the quarterback when you have a quarterback like that. But
Right.
you know,
When you have a guy who just can't get it done, maybe they're thinking, well, our quarterback also runs, so what do we need a running back for? Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I really feel like they think Daniel Jones, or thought Daniel Jones was Lamar Jackson. That's what I
maybe,
think they felt like. And because you see the design runs, you see him running those same runs that I mean, you always say it, be a quarterback that can run, not a running quarterback, if you want to go far and win a Super Bowl. And I don't think he's either. I don't think
yeah,
that Daniel Jones is a starting quarterback in this league. Sure, he gave a couple little fits to the Giants, or to the Cowboys defense this past Thursday, but to say that this is the guy you're going to go with over generational running back talent like Saquon Barkley, that everybody was like, yo, this is the next guy. And the only thing that's held him back is injuries. Now you talk about, hey, let's just keep him healthy and maybe we'll do well. You could have a bad quarterback back there with Saquon. You
hmm
could have a veteran quarterback back there with Saquon. You could have a rookie quarterback back there with Saquon. But if you have a bad quarterback and anything else, it's not going to work. And we've seen that. We're seeing it with Tennessee.
yeah. It might be like, again, going back to that Hard Knocks. One thing that's great about Hard Knocks, you get to see like the behind the scenes people. And a lot of the people in Joe Shane's like office, the assistant GM and the people in scouting and all that stuff like that, it's a lot of white faces. And maybe they're all just used to failing up because they're white. And so they just think
Hmm.
Daniel Jones is eventually gonna get there.
Hmm. Sometimes, I mean, people just think they're the smartest person in the room, and it doesn't always work out that way, man.
Yeah. But to that Bucks Eagles game, I like the Bucks. Um you have to wonder. I mean, I assume that my brother lives in Tampa. There's a lot of flooding there. I assume that these players that are extremely rich aren't living in the areas that were heavily impacted by the storm. But it kind of makes you wonder, like, if they were impacted, they're dealing with some off field stuff, potentially whatever.
Hmm.
But I still like the Bucks in this game. I think Baker's having a kind of a resurgence for his career, man, and I'm happy for him, even though, yeah, I didn't like him earlier in his career. I thought he was like I thought he was basically Johnny Manziel essentially,
Manziel.
and he's
Yeah.
he's kind of surprising me.
I didn't like Baker either, but I do like seeing him do this, and make it happen. And I'm going with Tampa in this game. But like I said, man, if Philly can find a way to get it done, conversations change a little bit around those guys for me.
Yeah.
Um Washington, Arizona. This is going to be an interesting battle of running quarterbacks. Uh we got Kyler Murray on Arizona side, making Harrison look great. Marvin
Mhm.
Harrison Jr. has looked great since that first game where he didn't catch shit, or I think he went 1 for 6 or something. since then, I think he scored 4 touchdowns. And he's getting it done. And they're going to be playing against a Washington defense that just looks bad. Um, but on the flip side, you got a Washington quarterback who's making things happen. No Austin Eckler this week, which is notable, very notable. Um, they found a way to get Terry McLaurin involved last week against Cincinnati. This is going to be an interesting game for me, man. I'm not even sure what my pick is, so I'll let you pick this one first.
I like the Cardinals in this game, but I'm going with Washington, and the reason I'm going with Washington, I think the person that we have to is an X factor for Washington is actually their offensive coordinator, which is Cliff Kingsbury, who's Kyler Murray's former coach, drafted him,
Mm.
etc. And I think that he might be able to go in there and give some tips to the defense on things that they could do to make it tough for Kyler Murray in this game. So I actually like Washington in this game.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna roll with AZ. I just really like that Arizona offense. The only thing that scares me about Arizona this week is they don't have Trey McBride. Um, so not having Trey McBride in the middle as your tight end against the Washington defense that struggles with that is going to be tough. I think, watch out for Greg Dortch to get some additional targets this week. But I think they run the ball with James Conner nicely this week. Marvin Harrison, I think, gets in the end zone again against Washington because they just are not good. But I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think it's going to be high scoring, and I think it's going to be close. But I'm going to go with Arizona.
Okay.
San Fran goes into New England. Again, we talked about this. San
No,
Fran
my
looks
friends at
bad.
home. My friends at home.
Oh, San Fran's at home. Okay. So New England goes into San Fran. That's my bad. I did say that earlier. Um I mean, lack of a better word, San Fran should beat the shit out of them. But I don't know. I don't know. Is Debo playing? Let me
I don't think he's playing.
pull up my stuff here real quick just to see if Debo Samuel's playing. And we know McCaffrey's not playing. But I do think Debo makes a difference if he plays in the outcome of this game. Notable, and I don't know if he did he come back. Debo's questionable. They're saying he plans to play. Plans to play. What's the left tackle's name over there that was fighting for a contract in San Fran?
Where?
We talk in San Fran.
Oh, Trent Williams.
He left the game last week, but I don't know if he came back. I don't know if it was just cramps, or if he's out. Here, let's see. Here's the update on that. Questionable. So no update there. George Kittle is back this week. So George
Okay.
Kittle is back. Debo Samuel says he plans to play. Trent Williams is questionable and may play. It all looks like San Fran wins this game to me.
Yeah, I got San Fran win. I don't even think it was. I don't think it's gonna even be close.
Kansas City Chargers.
Ugh, that one's tough. I like KC in this game, but I don't want them to win. Like KC is getting to the point. Like I like Patrick Mahomes, and it's kind of like how you would say with like with Jordan or whatever. Like you don't root for him or whatever when he plays against your team, but you're fine with seeing him win just because he's the best player.
Mhm.
And I feel like you should feel that way with Mahomes. But Mahomes, he's starting to become dislikable for me, like with the
Mhm.
complaining to the refs all the time and the BS calls and stuff like that. It's they're starting to become like the Yankees, like the evil empire. You know what I'm saying? But I think they win this game still though.
They've created a monster in that guy. They've
Yeah.
created a monster in that guy to where he feels like he is Tom Brady. Remember, Tom Brady used to throw the ball, and then
Mhm.
Tom Brady would call the call because he saw the contact, but if the ref missed it, it was unacceptable. And I think
Yeah,
that's what Mahomes is doing now. I think instead of trying to make the right play or live with not being able to make the play, I think he's out there looking for where can I get a flag if this doesn't work. And unfortunately, the league is letting it happen. I got Kansas City winning this game just because the Chargers just haven't shown us much of anything. J.K. Dobbins might be able to eat a little bit, so we'll see how that goes.
yeah.
Uh, Cleveland goes into Las Vegas.
I'm gonna go with Cleveland there.
I'm going with
Ve-
Vegas. I'm
Vegas got to
going.
show me first.
Well, there's no. Well, maybe I'm not. I just thought about it. What's his face is out. Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is not playing this week. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cleveland. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you. Buffalo and Baltimore. That's gonna be a really good game tonight. I look forward to watching that one.
Yeah,
And
I
it's in
agree.
Baltimore. Um, Baltimore coming off of a good first half against the Cowboys, a good actually 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter they looked like they were going to give it back, and then Lamar Jackson took it into his own hands on the last play, made it happen, but they can't do that against the Bills. Um,
Yeah,
they got to play for 4 quarters against the Bills if they're going to win this game.
yeah.
Um, I know what you want to happen, but what do you think is going to actually happen in this game?
I'm actually gonna go Ravens here. I'm gonna go Ravens here. I think they win.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's defense is too powerful. Um, and they should be able to play a running quarterback. They have one to practice against all year or all week. So I'm with you. I'm with Baltimore in that game, and then we got 2 Monday night games again. Is this a new thing?
They tried this before, so it seems like they roll it out every few years doing this double Monday night thing.
Well, they did it last week. Last week we
Mhm.
had 2 Monday night games, and
Right.
then this week we got 2 Monday night games. Maybe it's just until the bye week start.
Maybe, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago they did this where they had like double Monday nighters. So you know,
Next week we're back to just one, but the bye week start next week. So maybe that's what they're thinking. Like, let's go get some money. Oh, you know what they
mhm,
probably did? They probably sold the rights to, because they're running on 2 different channels. It's a money grab. It's a money
yeah,
grab. So you got ESPN and then you got ABC. So yeah, okay. Titans Dolphins. You guys have what's his face starting tomorrow for you guys? Tyler Huntley
yep, gonna be
and
interesting.
Tennessee still has Will Levis though.
Correct. This is a revenge game for us too.
Yeah, and you're at home, um, home cooking. I'm rolling with Miami in this game. I think
Yeah,
Huntley
I'm
gets it
going.
done.
Yeah, I'm going Miami as well. It's been pretty discouraging like this season for us. Um, the one good thing is that I mean, we got some winnable games out there. Like a lot of people are thinking, like, oh, well, the Dolphins aren't going to be able to do anything until Tua gets back or whatever. But
Hmm.
during this time that he's supposed to be out, we got some winnable games out there. So if they can get their head out of their ass, man, I think I think we should be able to survive these 4 or 5 weeks that Tua will be out.
You just need Huntley to be serviceable. You need
Yeah,
Huntley to be serviceable, not turn over the ball. And Tyreek Hill can't keep dropping passes. Like they
yeah,
had him designed last week for, and I mean last week was an uphill battle. You had a really bad quarterback who got hit a lot
oh my goodness,
uh last week. But on those wide receiver screens and stuff that they were throwing close to the line of scrimmage, I want to say Tyreek dropped 2 of those last week. And
yeah,
while it's only 2 out of however many other plays there are in the game, is that a difference maker? Does that change the momentum of the game? Does that change how the scoreboard looks? All of that stuff Jalen Waddle looked pretty decent last week. And you guys got, A Chain is still there. So if Huntley can be serviceable, you should be able to pull through this, very similar to what we did when Dak was out. And we had Cooper Rush back there.
Yeah, part of the thing too, like this week, what you've seen happen in Dolphins media is people have started asking, like, is Mike McDaniel going to give up play calling? Because, he's head coach, but he also calls the plays. And there's some very questionable play calls that have been happening since his rookie year as a head coach. And one of them is these wide receiver screens, like you just mentioned. And I hate every time they run one, I lose my shit. When it works, it's like, okay, great, it worked. Don't do it again. That's I feel like like when Steph started shooting it from half court, you know, I'm pretty sure Steve Kerr probably was like, "Oh, okay, it went in. Don't do that anymore." And
Right.
then once it just became like a thing, then it seemed it works more than it doesn't or whatever. It's like, okay, fine. You know, but for us, we're doing these wide receiver screens, and for the most part, they don't work for us at least. And he just won't stop doing it. And to give you an example of what I mean, it's like it's not even that he won't stop doing it, he does it like in the worst situations. So last week we had a play where they brought in Jalen Wright. He's one of our rookie running backs we got in the fourth round. He goes out, first play, he runs for like 17 yards, first down. He runs it again, he gets like 7 yards. They bring in Achan, he gets like two. It's 3rd and 1, and they throw a wide receiver screen to Jalen Waddle, which means now you're throwing the ball like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And he gets tackled for like a loss. And so now instead of it being like 3rd and short, or maybe 3rd and 1, or I'm sorry, a 4th and short, or 4th and inches or whatever, it's now like 4th and 6. So you're punting. You know what I'm saying? And so that it drives me crazy, man. I hate that play.
He's playing Madden. He's
Yeah,
playing that play to you is like, to me, what Mike McCarthy is trying to make CD Lamb. Like, when he was running those plays with Randall Cobb out of the backfield and they were working, especially against us, and letting Randall Cobb run the ball versus, catching the ball out of the backfield, that worked because you had, not Crosby. What was the wide receiver, the white boy, 87 that they had over there?
for
J- J- oh,
Jordy Nelson, not Jordy Nelson. Was it
yeah,
Jordy Nelson?
yeah, Jordy Nelson.
Okay.
Because they had that guy and they had tight ends and they had other stuff going on, right? So Randall Cobb was able to run the ball, but this thing that he's doing with CD, again, it worked last week against Baltimore. I think one play, it didn't work at all this week against the Giants. Stop, stop. This guy is a wide receiver. He's got limited pads on his legs. He's gonna take a hit, and we just paid this guy a shitload of money. And if he gets hurt, that changes our season significantly. So they gotta just cut the shit. If you need to, go out to the waivers, go find a running back, go make a trade, like find somebody that's on a bench somewhere. But it just that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Similar to how you feel about that wide receiver screen. Cut the shit.
I hate that. Yeah, I hate that play.
I don't mind lining him up back there and letting him come out of the backfield and throw the ball, but he's not Debo. He's not
Yeah.
Debo, and he's not he's lanky compared to those guys. Those guys are low to the ground, big legs. They're made for that shit.
Yeah.
CD
And
is
if you want to run a
he's
guy like CD, you do like a jet sweep or something like that, but don't just
mhm,
line him up at running back.
right. Yeah, it's just every time they do it, I'm like, oh, I hold my breath. Like this, he's gonna get hurt. You know.
Yeah. Or even if you want to line him up at running back, but like it's like a screenplay or something like that,
Hmm.
do that. But don't just be running them out of the backfield.
Yeah. Um. Seattle Detroit is the last game of this week before the Thursday night game. But Seattle Detroit is the second Monday night game. Seattle's 3-0 quietly.
Hmm.
Quietly, Detroit is 2-1. And Detroit is at home this week.
Yeah. Um, I like Detroit. I like Detroit in that game.
I think Detroit is the favorite. Um, Debo or not Debo, DK Metcalf has decided he's going to start playing football pretty good again this year.
He showed us
Um,
last week. Killed
and
us.
because he's been a little bit disciplined, he hasn't been out there getting hot headed and acting crazy. Seahawks have looked a lot better. Zach Charbonnet has looked great. I don't know if Kenneth Walker is back this week, but I think I'm going to go with Seattle in this game.
Okay.
I can see Detroit's stupid coach doing something stupid, causing them to lose that game. Like going for it on 4th and 7, just to make a statement. Like, oh, this is our game, this is our plan. All right, dog.
Yeah.
And then Thursday you got another divisional game, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I think that's another good game. I think it's going to be a good
Yeah.
game, barring injury. And that one is in Atlanta. So that's a tough one to call right now. I'm gonna go, man. I actually like both of those games or both of those teams this year a little bit.
I like both as well. The statistics say the home team on these short weeks like this with these Thursday night games are favored, and
Mm,
I think it's a close game, and so I think I'll go with the stats on it and just go with the home team.
Atlanta. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think I'm. It's a tough one, man. I'm gonna go Atlanta as well. I'll go Atlanta. I don't feel good about it, but I'll go with it. That is. That's the books for this week. Any bold prediction at all for this week? Player or game?
um,
I haven't thought about it, but
yeah, I haven't thought. I hope CJ Stroud like realizes he has people's fantasy hopes in his hands.
mm,
Boy ain't doing nothing this season so far.
yeah, he's that's gonna be that should be a good game for them though this week.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't thought about it, but I'm gonna go. If I'm thinking bold predictions, I've got. I think Saquon Barkley runs for. I think they lose, but I still think. I mean, he had 170 yards last week. This dude is just.
Eating.
I was gonna say 150, but that's not even really bold after that.
Yeah.
Um. All right, I'll go. I'm gonna go. Chargers beat the Chiefs. I mean, I
Okay.
chose the Chiefs because they should win, but the bold prediction is the Chargers find a way to beat the Chiefs. I think they run the ball. J.K. Dobbins keeps the ball away from and Gus Edwards. They keep the ball away from Mahomes, which is the way to beat this guy. And they find a way to sneak that one out in a divisional win.
Okay.
Um, Coming off of football, I watched last night. I fell asleep on some of the first episode, but then I woke up and finished the second episode. I watched the Aaron Hernandez doc on Netflix.
Okay.
It's only two episodes. It's 2 episodes, and I fell asleep on the first episode, which people say is probably the better of the two, and I watched the second one, and he was fucked up.
Yeah.
He was fucked up in the head. Not just him, but a lot of the athletes and just people. I mean, the way that we grew up in a time where being gay was super frowned upon, right? And
Aaron Hernandez was gay.
I guess he was bisexual, according to
Oh, I didn't know
the
that.
I mean, he had a kid, right? So he slept with women. You need to watch the documentary. You should
Gotcha.
watch it. It's 2 episodes. It's very interesting. They even have ex players from Florida that were like, yeah, you kind of gave off these vibes even back then. But it's interesting. But also, I didn't know that Massachusetts had this law or rule. It's called abatement. You heard of it before?
No.
So if you're on trial for murder in Massachusetts and you die in the process before the trial ends, it basically gets tossed and you're presumed that it's almost like it never happened. You're presumed
Hmm.
innocent. That really changes why he would have committed suicide, right? If he knew he was laying down, they already found him guilty. Maybe he felt like there's no way I win this appeal, but I'm gonna go ahead and appeal. And in the appeal, I take my life. Trial goes away, and it happens even on appeal, and that's what happened with him. And I learned that through the documentary.
Okay, 'cause I was about to ask, didn't he get found guilty? Like I get it, like if he were still on trial, but like, okay,
He
so even through the appeals trial, okay,
so so while the appeal was pending, that's when he committed suicide. That's when he passed away, and that's why they said, they had the whole thing with the Patriots. Is he still due $15 million and stuff like that? So, um, look, I have to give it to him. If that was his long term goal, was like, yo, I got a daughter, I got a family, and I can make this go away. And maybe the lawyers are telling me they'll fight, 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 fight to try to get this money for my family, and he took it into his own hands. I got to give it to him for that. That's a stand up decision. That's a tough decision to make. To have that happen, but um, yeah, it was an interesting doc, man. You should watch it. It's only 2 episodes. Very quick watch.
yeah, I have to check it out. And that I mean that's interesting if that played a role in the decision. It's you just never know what's going on in somebody's head, man. You know, it's kind of like I heard this analogy once, and I use it all the time about different things. But the person was saying like when you see like a duck on the lake or whatever, it moves like it's moving calmly and gracefully across the water. But then underneath, if you look underneath the surface of the water, it's going crazy to make it move to propel it.
Right.
And like sometimes that could be what's happening with people. They look calm, they look like everything is good, and then underneath, they're you know being pulled in different directions. They're going crazy or whatever. Um. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this guy started off young, doing dirt and stuff like that. So, that side of it is one thing. But then you got the CT. They found, the stuff in his brain, um, potentially. It was a lot. And then of course you're in a sport. You're in a manly sport, right? Like, there's no more barbaric sport, I would say, other than like UFC or boxing for the most part than
Hmm.
football. Um, and you got to fight the demons of being attracted to men, right?
Yeah.
The demons that people tell you are demons that is just you. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. I don't feel bad for anybody that takes another person's lives or anything like that, life or anything like that. But um, I could absolutely see how all of that brings together. And then now they say, hey, look, you're gonna lay down in here for a very, very long time. Here's this loophole. Think it through. And the easier decision is, got this kid, year or 2 years old. I'm probably never gonna see her again. Sure, I'll get to talk to her, but I'll never see her again. Does it become a selfish move, or is it unselfish because you're thinking about the kid's future? Like, that decision. That's a tough decision to have to make, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, but it's yeah, that's interesting. But I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Um, I also caught up mostly, I think, on the circle. No, I'm not. I'm not fully caught up. I'm only caught up to the point where dumbass Darian gave Kevin the influence. So damn dumb.
Dumb.
So damn dumb. Like, what are you doing, dog? Like,
Yeah.
Shorty's been riding with you. You know she's been riding with you. Like, there's no way that, and of course, they have other chats and stuff. We've heard that there's other chats and other time that's going on in there that you don't see on the show. But if we're saying that chat is the one that made him be like, yeah, this is the guy that I'm gonna go with. This is my road dog. Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah. That was just dumb to me. Like at the end of like, and especially since and unlike other seasons, I've seen it happen in other seasons, but it seems like in this season, and especially since the same two people have been influencers every single time except the first influencer thing, which has been the catfish
Gianna.
Gianna and Kevin. Like Gianna goes in and it's like, yo, this is my non-negotiable off rip. This person's not going anywhere. So like we don't even need to talk about him. And then Kevin's
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, this is my non-negotiable. Like if you give it to what's her face? Jadasia, the girl, I'm pretty sure that's how she's going in. Like, Darian's non-negotiable. You know what I mean? Like now let's get to the other people.
He's completely safe. If he had sent Jadeja in, he would have been 100% safe.
Yeah,
Because the twins were not fucking with him. They didn't even want to get rid of him anyway. They just gave in, which that made me
exactly.
mad that they gave in because they were talking real tough, like we're not gonna let this guy push us around, blah blah
Yeah,
blah. And you see that this guy was number 6 out of 7 already. He was second to the last. Like, why do I even want him as an alliance? Even if he says, "Oh, you're my number one," I will never. Dog, you are at the bottom of the list.
yeah.
Like,
But you know what?
I
I think me and my wife talk about this all the time because we watch other reality shows like Survivor and Big Brother and stuff like that. But I'm always amazed at like how like just one conversation, and like you said, the thing is edited, so we don't know what other conversations are happening. But like the thing that what's different is like if you watch Big Brother, because Big Brother is happening now, right? They have 3 episodes that come on a week and the people are in the house right now. So when you watch it tonight, you're watching the stuff that's happened from Thursday until like yesterday, basically, and then they chop it up, edit it, or whatever, and you kind of see what happened over the last 3 days or whatever in a 1 hour and an hour and a half episode or whatever.
right.
But what CBS also does is they have like a subscription thing they sell where you can watch the live feeds. And so you can actually like
Mm,
log on and see what's happening in the house like right now. And so you're getting to see like there's literally people who have like Twitter accounts that are just dedicated to just like the same way like you see people posting like what's happening in a courtroom or whatever on Twitter. It's the
yeah.
same thing. Oh, so and so said this to Steve. Steve said that. Vari said that. EJ said this. Boo boo. Now they're talking about yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? And so YouTube channels and podcasts and stuff that are just dedicated to talking about like giving you a recap of what happened in the house today. And you see this happen in Big Brother where a player is thinking I'm gonna do X, and then they have one conversation and they just turn on a dime and do Y.
Hmm.
And so it's not impossible that that's what happened with Darian and Kevin. They had that one conversation and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna roll with old boy just like that. It's amazing, when you see it happening in reality shows. But and maybe it's the isolation or something like that, with the fact that your mind is all your mind is thinking is like the game, the game, the game, the game, because they don't let you have any social media, no TV, no anything, and so you're just constantly like, man, maybe this happened, maybe that did it. He said so. That was believable. He convinced me. So
Yeah, I don't. He really blew. He blew it on that one. I know
yeah,
he's gonna be watching it. And then
big,
what's her face is playing. I mean, she's a snake, but she's playing a hell of a game.
yeah, the OnlyFans chick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
She is a snake, but she's making it work. I was just so mad at them damn twins, bro. Like, come on, man. I was right when I was starting to like them because I'm like, okay, they're finally getting it.
Yeah.
They went and allowed that, him to get pushed out like that. But
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at. I haven't seen beyond that. I'll continue to watch it. And then there was something else that, oh, bruh, did you watch the Penguin?
No, I gotta watch it. I've been
Duh.
I've been waiting.
It's gonna be that Sunday night show. The Penguin is,
Everybody I've heard talk about it, they say it's good, so I'm gonna check it out.
dude. Colin Farrell, woo, that boy got range. He has range. Wait till you watch this shit. You got to watch that first episode. You better watch that first episode before tonight comes, because it it's one of those, to me right now, and I'll gauge it off of this second episode and the third episode, I'm sure, but right now it seems like one of those Sunday night shows to me, like Game of Thrones, like the other ones, Sopranos, stuff like that, that I'm gonna have to watch it live, and I'm gonna be waiting after watching that
Mhm.
first episode. It is, oh man, that shit is good.
Yeah, I want to check it out. I just I'm already just not I got it. I try to go into everything with open mind, but I'm already not a DC fan. So I'm hoping that it's good, but I'll check it out. And like I said, I give anything 3 episodes. So even if I don't like the first episode, I'll keep watching.
It seems like, and again, we're only one episode in. This is not like any other Penguin or Batman that story that we've seen, at least the way it's started.
Hmm.
So this is completely different. This Penguin series looks like, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be callbacks to the original story and stuff like that, and there's going to be some similarities, but the way it starts, it's more like a mob movie. Like,
Gotcha.
this first episode was like more like a mob movie. Like, he was attached to the mob. I don't want to give you too much, but like, just like, it's good, man. They did a really really good job, at least with that first episode, and so much so that I thought there was 2 episodes, and when I started, I didn't check if there was a second one. I just thought there were. I thought I was 2 episodes behind. So when the first one ended, I was ready to go. Like, yes, I could watch the second one. And then when I looked, I was hot. I was mad. I was like, "Duh!" So check it out, man. You'll like that shit.
Yeah. What they may have done, because I saw a lot of people saying like how 'cause I think it was last week people were expecting episode 2 and they didn't get anything. And
Um,
what HBO did this with another show. It wasn't Thrones. It was another show where they did. It was like the show is supposed to start next week Sunday, but they
mhm,
put out episode 1 like this week to kind of like help build it up, and then people liked it. And then when next Sunday got here, people were like, "Yo, what's episode 2?" And then they just re-aired episode 1 when it was originally supposed to air, and then you had to wait until week 3 to get episode 2. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
If they did, they're smart.
yeah, they may have done that with this. I can't remember the show they did that with. But I remember them doing that in the past.
Yeah, this one looks like it's a hit. This one is a hit. I'll be all for one episode.
Yeah.
Now, if it changes, but off of this first episode, there's so much that goes on in it. So much that goes on. It almost doesn't feel like, you'll see when you watch it. It doesn't feel like a DC related film or show. It
Okay.
doesn't feel like it at all. So, but
All right,
yeah,
man. So
definitely watch it.
yeah, I definitely got that on the list. I'll check it out. For me, I've been watching the normal stuff, Survivor, Big Brother. Um, I'm caught up. I'm all the way caught up on the Circle, so I won't talk about that. Um, the other thing I watched, man, I watched the Child's Play remake.
I didn't
I
know they
saw it. It
did
was
that.
Yeah, it came out in 2019, but it was on Amazon Prime, so I watched it. It was terrible. Oh my god, yo, it was awful. Like it. So you remember you saw the first one, right? The original one.
Yeah, I
So
used to
in this
love
one,
those.
yeah. So in this one, what they did was instead of making it like a voodoo curse kind of vibe, they
Hmm.
leaned into this technology thing. So like there's this company called Kazlan, and Kazlan, like when you think of the company, think like Amazon, where they
Hmm.
they do all kind of they send you products, they make things, they have like a ride share like a Uber, they got an Alexa, they got all kind of stuff where they're just integrated into your life, right? And so
Hmm.
when you get the buddy doll, you can integrate it into your Kazlan system and make it control your AC or whatever, and it plays with your kid. It runs off of an AI and stuff like that. And so what ends up happening is that when they when um They had a guy in like the factory in Vietnam where they make them, and he's like sleeping on the job, and his manager comes over and he's like, "Didn't I tell you don't be sleeping here?" Blah blah blah. And he was like, "You're fired. Finish this last one and then get the fuck out of here, or whatever." So when the dude just like he's sitting there like, "Oh man, I can't believe they fired me," and then you just see him like snap, and he goes to the computer and he starts taking out like all the safety protocols or whatever. So like
Mhm.
the language protocols and stuff like that. But the thing that's crazy is like I get it has to be like this for the movie to happen. Like, why does this doll have a violence protocol? You know what I'm saying? So he removes like all the safety features or whatever, and then he packages up the doll and it gets shipped over here and ends up with the kid Andy or whatever. And so um that's kind of like how the movie gets going or whatever.
What's it
But the
on?
whole movie, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
It's on there now. I don't know if Amazon made it or not, but it's on Amazon Prime right now. That's how I was able to watch it. But it's
Gotcha.
terrible, man. It seems like they were like, oh, Aubrey Plaza is very popular right now. Aubrey Plaza's she was on Parks and Recreation, and she's also, remember the girl in the second season of White Lotus, the one who was with the Asian dude?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
Aubrey Plaza. It seemed like they were like, oh man, Aubrey Plaza's like blowing up. Let's put her in this. It's like how Netflix do. You're a star. We're gonna put you in something. And it was so bad, man. The dialogue is bad. Everything. It's nothing good about that movie at all.
I might check it out because I'm a huge fan of Chucky.
Yeah.
Just to see, but I just pulled up Hulu because I thought I was watching something else, and they have a doc on Diddy already.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
Netflix is making one right now. So I wouldn't that doesn't surprise me.
Drugs, Lies, and Freak Offs. They're calling it. They, they're crazy. Yo,
New York's going
we,
through some things right now.
we are living in some wild ass times, yo.
Yeah. Yo, you know what was crazy to me? Like, and I think that it's one of those things where it's like this stuff has become normalized. I was watching this clip of the Breakfast Club on YouTube, and they were reacting to Eric Adams being indicted. And the show is done; they're all New Yorkers. The show is in New York, and the one I can't think
Just
of her name,
hilarious.
Jess Hilarious and
Mhm.
Charlemagne and Envy. They were reading the news or whatever about it happening, and Jess Hilarious is like, I get it that this stuff is illegal, but like the way that it was leading up to everything, when it finally happened, I was like, that's it. And it reminded me of something I saw this person who talks about like authoritarianism and stuff like that. And he talks about Trump and stuff like that. And he was saying that there's this parable where it says there's two fish swimming, and the one fish swims up to the other one, and he says, how's the water today? And that fish says, what's water? Because that fish is like the water is so normalized that it doesn't understand that it's in water. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the point is like the corruption is becoming so normalized that this mayor gets indicted for taking money from foreign governments to do them favors, and they're like, that's it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is all you got for me.
And what's wild about that is that, and this is kind of what I say to people. I say this to you guys on here. I say it to other people that I talk to about politics and stuff. Where I talk about people just living their lives and not really, following the news, especially when it comes to things like politics. Where if you read this indictment, it's not like the government of Turkey started giving Eric Adams or allegedly started giving him money like a year ago. They started giving this dude money in 2014 when he was a borough president, because they thought he was somebody who could become mayor and maybe even president. So it was kind of like, yo, we it was almost like it was like a farm system, like a baseball team. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we got
Right.
this dude in our AAA, and we see this kid going somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
He's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, and people are reacting like that's it. Like, imagine if this guy and there were people in media who were talking about Eric Adams when he got elected to become mayor, saying, I can see this guy going to the White House or whatever, because he's a different kind of Democrat where he's not as far left as other Democrats are. And he's kind of in the middle. He's strong on policing and things like that. And this is stuff that, people claim to care about or whatever, and people were saying they could see this guy in the White House. And imagine for a second, like, this dude makes it to the White House and he's basically being paid by other governments to do them favors or what, you know what I mean? Like, I think people are just treating this thing like, like it's nothing or whatever. This is a big deal. And it's not like he's some mayor from Tulsa or from Apopka or something like that. This dude's the mayor of New York City.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. The thing about it is, the crazy part is, I feel like that this is normal.
Mhm.
I just feel like, and you said it in the chat, how many other people could this, or how many other people are on pay already, or on payroll, or whatever? Like, I don't think this is not a normal thing.
Mhm.
It's just at different levels. I think a lot of it is swept under the rug. A lot of it is just people not taking, or not paying attention, not being looked into. And I think if someone really did a deep dive, meaning, the police or the federal government, they would find that there were a lot of people that are under payola like this.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, and you look at the corruption stuff, it's not just Trump. Like, it's easy to just go to Trump because he's just so outwardly corrupt, but somebody who I like a lot, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's husband is the greatest stock trader of all time. Like, this dude just doesn't miss. You know what I
Right.
mean? And his timing on buying and selling stocks is just impeccable. And you have to imagine that the heads up that members of Congress get about what's happening in the economy and with these businesses and things like that, you have to think that that plays a role, because, like, this dude sold off like $500,000 worth of Nvidia stock like 2 weeks before we found out that the Justice Department was going after Nvidia for like some kind of like anti-manipulation thing or something like that, or whatever,
Right.
and it's insane, man. It is insane, but they don't have any accountability, and then we don't pay attention, so they continue to just do it, man. So it's hard to blame them when we have shown we don't. I mean, look at Clarence Thomas. Like, one of the first things I saw, Adams thing came out. This one dude I follow on Twitter, he's a lawyer. He was like, I know right now, after reading this Eric Adams indictment, Clarence Thomas is texting Harlan Crow, who's that billionaire that pays for all these
Paid for
vacations.
his mom's. Yeah.
Yeah, paid for his mom's house and stuff. And he said he's probably telling him, yo, the cost of the brick is going up. This dude was getting $50,000 when he was a borough president. I'm a Supreme Court justice. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wonder if like people get into that, like Eric Adams, ahead of time, and they're like, "Oh, I'm only gonna do this until I get in there, and then I'll stop."
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just too good. Like, the money
Yeah,
is just too, money's too good. The whatever else comes along with it is just too good to let go. Or once you get in, they're like, now they got you. They blackmail you.
yeah,
Like, you sure you want to pull out? It'd be a shame if people found out.
right.
Um,
And like some of the and like reading this indictment, because again, I'm not from New York City, so obviously, we know who the mayor of New York City is, because New York just has like that kind of outsized influence on people who don't even live in the city, to where we follow what's happening there, even though we're not from there, right?
right.
And you look at some of these people they put around him. So, like, one of the guys, this guy who's the deputy mayor for safety or whatever, so this guy oversees the police department, is a guy who in 2014, this dude was, I think he was either on the police force or in that same job, and this dude was like an unindicted co-conspirator in some kind of corruption scandal that happened back then. And normally that's like a thing, it's like a death sentence for a political career. Eric Adams put him in play, you know, And it almost seems like he was thinking, I'm going to be doing this corrupt stuff, so I can't have people around me who are straight shooters because
Right.
that's going to mess up my shit, you know.
Right.
And what's funny about that is that his legal count, his not legal, his um like his like the lawyer for the mayor, not his like private lawyer, but like the lawyer who like represents like the office of the mayor or whatever, his chief counsel basically. She's a former prosecutor from the U.S. Attorney's office that's prosecuting Eric Adams now. She starts seeing some shit and she's telling him, she sends him an email saying, hey, I think you need to separate yourself from this person and that. And like, like, I don't like what's happening around here. Kind of one of those, let me put the shit on paper. I'm not in the loop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And Eric Adams essentially, according to the indictment, he essentially ignores her and she resigns. Like, I'm out because the writing's on the wall. Like
Right.
I've been on the other side where I'm the one that's like getting ready to line this shot up to indict a motherfucker, and I ain't going down with this shit. So got me fucked up. So, and I mean, it was just blatant, man. Like in the indictment, Steve. Like the last thing I'll say on this real quick, they have a transcript from Eric Adams calls Turkish Airways, the airline, because that they were owned by the government,
Right.
and they're flying him around business class, first class tickets all over the world. And so he was like, "Yo, he needs a flight to so and so or whatever." So Turkish Airlines already knows, they're gonna give him the flight for free. And the person tells the airline the Adam staffer tells the airline person, he has to pay for this flight. He can't get it for free. There's too many eyes on him right now. So they're like, all right, we'll sell him the ticket for $50. And the staffer's like, "Bam, I just told you he has too many eyes on him. He can't be seen getting a sweetheart deal. Pay for the ticket. It needs to be something reasonable." And the person is like, okay, we'll sell them the ticket for an economy ticket for $1,000. And so they end up paying $1,100 for the ticket. He buys a ticket for $1,100, and then it's an economy class ticket. It immediately gets upgraded to business class for free. And in the indictment, they said because of how last minute that flight was, and Turkish Airways is considered like one of those premium airlines, kind of like I think it's called Emirates. I think it's the other one.
Yeah.
One of the ones where you have like a whole suite to yourself. They're like an airline like that. And so they immediately upgrade him to business class for free. And in the indictment, they said if he had paid a standard rate for that ticket would have been $15,000.
Damn.
And
And he paid 1,100.
paid 1,100.
Come on, man. This is the type of shit, and that's arrogance, right? That's the P Diddy type shit. That's that
Right.
P Diddy arrogance.
And and
Like,
and,
oh,
and mind you, don't gloss over the part where I said the staffer is telling the airline person there's a lot of eyes on him.
right. We can't take this kind of, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we're just living in that world now where it's just too easy to. It's the access. Like before,
Yeah.
you couldn't just send a message to a politician on a chat and maybe they respond or not, or even a representative of that person, and maybe they respond or not. Now you can take a shot at a politician, a celebrity, anything, right? A cop, whatever, because they're on social media or they're on, and either they'll respond or they won't. They maybe they don't, but you just keep shooting. All it takes is one, and you're
Yeah.
good. But
And that shit,
um
it has other effects, right? Because like think about how many conversations that we've had about people not voting, right? And then you have people who might be like, for what? Like they're corrupt. Like they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. I'm gonna do me, they do them, whatever. You know what I mean? And it's how you can get a guy like Trump in there because you have a lot of people who just don't care, so they don't show up, or they don't
right.
care, so they say, I'm gonna take a shot on this guy, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, especially with Kamala being a former prosecutor, I know this won't happen, but if she were to win, hopefully she gets in there and says, "Hey, like one of the top priorities of my administration is going to be weeding out political corruption and empower the FBI and these U.S. attorneys and stuff like that to start going after these people around the country, whether they work in city, state, or federal government, and start rooting out corruption or whatever, and showing people, like, public service is service. You know what I mean? It's not meant to enrich yourself,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, um, again, I don't know. I don't know what direction this is going in. Uh, the country, that is, but
Mhm.
obviously people need to make the right decision, because there's there's people that are already in position, and then you're thinking about putting someone else that's in an even higher position that will gloss over this stuff and not care and maybe even be impacted by it. So um you know this is, I think we say this all the time. People always tell you it's the biggest election of all time, or of our lives, but I think the reality is this is in fact the biggest election of our lives.
Yeah,
That it can change the trajectory of the United States significantly. So
I
hopefully
agree.
people make get out there, make yourselves heard, and do what's right.
I agree. Here, here.
uh um that's what I got right about that 2 hour mark. So I am going to run off of this thing and hand it off to you so that we can start prepping for some fantasy football stuff. We got 45 minutes until kickoff, and so you can get us up out of here.
Hey, everybody, we appreciate everybody who listened live. Like we always say, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to your folks, like we talked about earlier in the show. You never know what's happening with somebody, what's going on under the surface. So reach out to your family, friends, just to check in with them, see how they're doing. Pretty sure they'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it as well. Also, for the folks who are, believers, whether you're a true believer, agnostic, whatever, say a prayer to whoever grandma in the New York area. You don't have to deal with EJ last night. Hopefully she's doing okay. So
Check on her hips.
yeah, you know what I mean. So send a prayer for her. But yeah, like we say, man, everybody who listen live, we definitely appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday morning to rock with us. For the folks who listen to the episode post, we appreciate you taking that time as well. You can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching Castworthy. You can also follow us on any social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. And like Steve kind of closes out with, it's election season, so the election is upon us. So make a plan to vote, get out there and vote, exercise your voice, let your voice be heard, and hopefully we do the right thing in our opinion. And some of the people have other opinions, but hopefully we do the right thing in our opinion. And with that being said, man, we will see you guys for another fresh episode next week on the Castworthy Podcast. Until then, we out. We love you. Peace.